Here from Expats Portugal, doing the Good Morning Portugal show here for you on this wonderful Friday. What a week it's been. We started, let me see if I can remember all of this. What an incredible week. On Monday, we started with Terence, didn't we? Portuguese property photography. How to avoid photographing dead bodies on the balcony. You'll remember that picture if you were tuned in on Monday. On Tuesday, we talked to the wonderful Joyce Craveiro from Lar no Lar, matching up younger people who need somewhere to live with older folks who've got spare rooms and creating beautiful relationships between the elders and the youngsters of society. Wednesday, ask anything about Portugal, financial investment tips from that bold and brazen fellow from Gibraltar, Paul Correa, and of course, Ask the Doc, medical matters. Well, we talked about all sorts of things on Wednesday on our slot, Ask Anything About Portugal. Savvy Cat Realties, Ana Caramujo was with me yesterday, of course, talking about her Viking bar that she's going to be opening, as well as the best places to live in Portugal and rent and buy and all of that sort of malarkey and the pitfalls of buying property and searching for property in Portugal. And this morning, what better way to announce the arrival of Jenni B than Hank saying, "Holy balls, bad man, it's Jenni. I'm so in." So let's bring her onto the screen right now. Don't be fooled by the rocks that she got. She's still Jenni from Central Portugal, everybody. Here she is, Jenni B. How are you this morning?
Olá a todos, muito bom dia.
Hey,
yeah, good.
You brought the birds with you, Mary Poppins.
All in my bag.
It sounds fantastic. There you go, folks. There is the soundscape of Central Portugal in the background. Notably, when I was just checking the sound with Jenni before the show, the birds are singing their little hearts out behind her. So she's brought her backing group with her. The birds of Alvazra are there.
Yeah.
You'll be able to hear them. Fantastic. So let's say a few good mornings before we find out how you are this morning, Jenni, and what we might be talking about, because we're easily distracted, as we know. Anybody who's watched this before, for holistic health, insight and goodness and Feelgood Friday, we have the best intentions of talking about something and then don't talk about it until about 10 o'clock. So let's just go with that. Hola, bon dia. Greetings from sunny, just about in a drought, California. That's got a nice ring to it, but not a good sentiment at all. Hopefully you can avoid the drought. Just about in a drought, Hank there in California. And a very good evening to you, Hank. Bon dia from Jonesy in Oregon. Good morning, everyone from Gemini. I think the Jenni crew are here. You bring all the girls to the yard, I think it's safe to say, those with holistic tendencies are here. Sean Maguire, morning, Carl. Morning to you, Sean, and to Paul. How are you? Paul Richards, greetings from Harrogate in Yorkshire. Sunny but cold in capital letters, 3 degrees. Yeah, it's beautiful here. Sorry to rub it in, Paul. Beautiful day here in Central Portugal. La bon dia from a very sunny... Oh, Penhasco. I have a day at the camera and EDP, wish me luck. Yes, and you remember the 2-trip rule that we announced here on Expats Portugal. Remember where you heard it first? You always have to plan 2 trips. The first trip is to find out what you need to take with you on the second trip when you're doing anything like that in Portugal. I would basically, if you're going to the camera and EDP, I just block out 2 days for that, Paul. I am not kidding. Good morning, everyone, from Jahid Hassan. Good morning to you, Jahid. How are you? From Jimmy in Baltimore. Good morning from Baltimore. Hank liking our response to his comments this morning. Mark Cockerton is here as well. Bon dia, Carl and Jennykins. Oh, that's nice, isn't it? Carlito and Jennykins here at your service. Penny Albertarisi. The holistic ladies are here in force. Bon dia, Alegria from a sunny Brixham. Psychologists Unite. Yes. So lots of psychological insight here if you want it this morning. Bon dia, Abril, many rain from Pedro Carvalho. Yes, indeed. Many a shower at the moment, but it's needed. No rain, no wine. Bon dia from Terceira. Jenni looking like sunshine this morning. Doesn't she always, Donna? And yes, April, many rain. It's so true, so true. Muito chuva, Pedro. Thank you very much. So, Jennifer, what was on your mind? What is it that we are probably not going to be talking about after all? But what did you have? What did you have in mind?
Well, we've been quickly checking in yesterday, I think it was, and we sort of, or even the day before, and then we were sort of saying, shall we do a certain topic, or shall we just maybe go with the flow? And so we went for this, and I don't know, there's many things, but something that came up yesterday, I wanted to talk about. It is. Morning, Gary, Linda. It is there was a case presented in German court where a dude sued the schools for let the kids wearing masks during lessons, and he won.
Okay.
So that is a big case, and I hope it's spreading all over the world, that this is causing more damage to the kids than the eventual case of eventually perhaps getting COVID or some whatever virus it is. It's the same as if we would have done all these measurements for just any regular flu or novovirus diarrhea or whatever. So I'm glad it seems as if to go into the other direction. And I remember you were saying something about freedom and mind control.
Yes.
And I think it fits to this court sentence as well, because I think so many people are trapped at the moment, feeling mind control, or put the mind in brackets, even just controlled in general, and feeling cut off their freedom. But I think this gives us a great opportunity to think about what freedom actually is and how much we still have left from it. Because at the end of the day, are we not all lucky beings born with the freedom of choice? And so, of course, there's some things I need to take in respect, like certain laws, for example. I mean, I would not be able to run around and just kill people, but there's the good news. No, exactly. If I'm with me, if I'm just, there would be no, why would I kill people? So that's the beauty of it, is once you kind of have this faith or the trust in yourself and in life and everything around you, you can be so much more calmer. And all this, what we've just been saying in the brief check-in we had before, these things can make you quite but what's the point? Because at the end of the day, it's not changing anything, despite your mood is really getting and you don't feel good and all this. So why not rather practice a bit of positivity? So even in the deepest shit, so that is the best practice, isn't it? You learn to swim in the cold water.
Yes. Nice mixing of metaphors there. So, yes. Okay. Yeah, it's true. It's absolutely true. And this is what I'm always aware of. I mean, we can deal with this in chunks, can't we? Because there is definitely an elephant in the room emerging. Denise is saying it. Tuned in from New Zealand. Our government has just been taken to court too, and I feel like it's useful to make something of not a defense actually, but just an explanation or an understanding of why governments operate in the way they do. They're dealing with massive numbers of people, and I don't think any government in the world has ever erred on the side of caution in these matters. They tend to go a bit over the top. It's the nature of government, isn't it? When you're dealing with a nation with large numbers of people who you don't know, their numbers on a page, so you're likely to go over the top with your controls or regulations or laws and things to try and get the situation under control, because you may feel a sense of responsibility, and the populace saying do something, and then, okay, we'll do something, we'll make everyone stay indoors, we'll make everyone wear masks, we'll make them stand 2 feet apart, we'll make them look at an angle of 45 degrees at each other whilst they're having lunch, etc. And now, okay, fair enough, we didn't know what we were dealing with a year or more ago, so you can understand again why serious measures, lots of measures. Let's find out what we're dealing with here. and respond accordingly. And that's the bit now I think that's not quite adding up for people. We're into this aftermath now, aren't we? Or the deconfinement processes where there's a sense of opening up, the return to normality, whatever that is, and freedom. But there are all of these restrictions and things that when you look at them and when you analyze them, or even if you do some sort of broader research, you see that they're not actually founded in anything scientific. They were very much precautionary and they were very forceful, but they still persist at this stage of the game. And they're not adding up for people. And so that's the first bit of it for me. And then the frustration with that can be akin, can't it, on what might be called both sides. So some people are saying, please, for heaven's sakes, don't get too carried away. Keep staying 2 meters apart. Don't hug each other. Wear your masks. Stay indoors, actually. Just don't come near me, all of that. And I understand that. I really do. And then there's the other people say, yay, it's over. We're going out. I'm going to hug everybody. I'm going to rely on my natural immunity. And then within that, of course, you have the dynamics of conflict, don't you, with people, with each other and in ourselves as well. And we're thinking, for some people might be thinking, sat at home thinking, those people out there, they're all mixing, they're going to make this worse. And they are in a state of fear, which can't be very good for their health. And then the other folks who have gone out and they're like, bring it on. I've got antibodies to develop here. And my immune system is great. And I'm under 50 and I'm just, it's over, all that sort of stuff. Look at all those people with masks, driving around with masks on. They make me mad. And that's not good for them either, is it? Getting mad about what the government's doing to them, what other people are doing. All the same sort of thing, really, but from a different angle. And if the net result is unrest and anger and anxiety, depression, all these possible conditions that can arise from seeing the circumstances and then building your mental picture about it, you've lost, haven't you? You've lost the game. Whichever way you're looking at this, if you find yourself getting angry, frustrated, anxious, depressed long term, that is, to me, is the problem within the problem.
Yeah. But I really loved your start, what you said, and you can adapt this to so many things. What you've been saying, as in trying to understand the government's measurements and what they've been doing. You're absolutely right. Us as human beings, as citizens, we stand there. Look, there's a virus. You got to do something. You're the government. And then they do something, and then we go like, no, I didn't like that. If I would have been the government, I would have done it completely different. Blah blah blah. So it's always like this, and it is in so many cases. I see it with so many doctors. Andy can probably 100% confirm this. There is a certain expectation people have towards these entities. So when you go to the doctor with, even it might be just a flu and there's actually nothing your doctor can do despite tell you, right, maybe Carl, you just go and lie in bed for 3 days. Get yourself a nice cup of tea, get Mrs. M to make you some colloidal silver or whatever. I know your family by now. and then chill. But if he would do that and would not give you at least a little note where it says you can go to the pharmacy and buy yourself this, you leave this doctor and you say, what a bloody doctor. He didn't do anything for me. Nothing. Yes. He didn't even prescribe me anything. And it is, again, is those expectations where we give away our responsibility for that. And then we moan about what other people do with their responsibility. Well, sorry, but if you want to change in the outcome, you might have to act differently to start with.
And this is a theme, isn't it? This is the theme of responsibility in this. And something else I want to talk about with you this morning, which I think you would understand, appreciate, certainly have an opinion on, about how this is affecting us, whether it's the top level pandemic phenomenon, let's call it that, and the response to the virus, whatever it brings up in you. Or if it's the second level, which is like a year later, and like, this is fantastic. Gary saying, all of those people out there enjoying themselves, but that can feel quite threatening to people. So that's a secondary effect, isn't it? Of like, whether it's, and then the people are like, who don't want to be vaccinated, who are fearing, that there's going to be an infringement of the Nuremberg Code, I think, where, it's like, what? These other people are saying I must get vaccinated or I can't work if I don't have a vaccination passport, or I can't travel. that anxiety building, and for me, understandably, but that's a secondary level of stuff. And then that's bringing something up. And that's really what I wanted to, because we obviously for the next hour, 2 hours, and we've done this before, we could be micromanaging and micro debating each of those issues, and we wouldn't come to any agreement. You'd have some people who say, yes, definitely, everyone should definitely get a vaccination, and someone else saying, no, it should be a choice, and deadlock. That's being done everywhere. But we're doing something different this morning. And what I wanted to talk to you about was what it's bringing up for people, okay? And this is what we've talked about before: inner child healing the past, healing the trauma. And my theory for you, because I know you're much better able to talk about this than I am professionally, is that a little sign that there is something left unhealed? If you find yourself, the word triggering, if you find yourself being triggered by any aspect of this pandemic phenomenon, you could keep arguing it out with people on social media, and that's what we do. Or you could say, hold on a minute, why am I so inordinately upset about people wanting to vaccinate me? Or why am I so inordinately upset about people outside my window enjoying themselves and socializing? Is it? Do you think there's some truth in that? It's like, have a look within if you're getting stimulated and emotionally triggered.
Yeah, I mean that. Thank you for this thesis. Thank you for bringing up this for you for today. Do you already have a little diary where you write in like thesis for Jenni?
Not exactly, but really.
It's a good one. So I 100% agree generally with the triggering. If anything really triggers you longer than 15 seconds, I think Vera F. Birkenbiel has the magic 15 seconds.
Oh, okay.
Then you may check within where there's actually a correspondence with you yourself. Because, I mean, let's face it, if somebody is, what's the word? If you're driving in the traffic and somebody is just driving in front of you and wasn't good, and usually you go like, ah! Well, and then most of the time that was it. You have a short arousal and then, okay, next thing. But if this is sticking to you, if you're home and you still go like this little mofo, next time I'm seeing him, I'm gonna kill him. I'm waiting here till he drives past again, and then I just
yes.
Something like this. And this counts for any situation. If it does something with you on the long run or in the longer term, definitely check in with yourself. What is it? Why am I triggered by this? And it might be just simply the fact that usually anger comes up when we see something happen and what we don't feel as justified.
Yes.
So in the situation of COVID, this could be seeing people outside enjoying themselves and you don't allow that yourself. Exactly. And this is why you're angry. Because you think it is your responsibility for the society now not to enjoy yourself, particularly not with others. Then you go super mad when you see others doing it. But at the end of the day, it's your choice. If you see socializing as a clear need for you in your life to feel happy, then socialize. But I mean, we do it and we're not sitting next to each other, hugging each other, and we can still socialize. You know what I mean? So it is always about, we have the saying, and I know you have the same in English, where there's a will, there's a way.
Yes.
But I think first and most important is to be aware of what you want, because we all know what we don't want. Yes. And surprise, surprise, law of attraction, this is what you're going to get. Your brain doesn't understand. No, it has no negotiation in its head. If I say to you, don't think about a pink elephant, what are you thinking about?
Stop it. You and your pink elephant. Yes.
Yes. So that's exactly what it is. So if you do the same thing with the head, with yourself, and even thinking, I don't want to get COVID. I don't want to get COVID. I don't want to get COVID. You know, you prime your head for, okay, COVID, where's COVID? Where can I get this COVID? So the key is So the key is to turn it around into positivity and something you do want to have. For example, let's say I'm a happy person. If you want to have more positivity and more happiness in your life, well, it's a state of mind. Even though you don't believe it, keep telling yourself, because at some point you will believe it, and your brain finally overrode the old story. But if you keep waking up thinking the same thoughts you thought the last 48 years, and they haven't really made you happy, sorry to disappoint you there. If the thoughts are going to stay the same, the outcome won't change anyhow. So it's so important to check your own thoughts. And then you will, if you go into this observer mode, you will see the triggers much more easily as well. Because then you're in a healthy dissociation and observe yourself, and then you can actually look at yourself and thinking, haha, look at her, she's triggered again. Instead of really being in the emotion and not being able to think straight anymore then.
Perfect. I'm loving this, and this is the, whilst the one finger is pointing forward, three fingers are pointing backwards to have a look at yourself when you're getting upset. So I'd love to dwell on that more with you there, Jenni, about how to actually do that. So I mean, one of the things I think you said there was like, have a word with yourself, take a look at yourself, see what's going on within, because at the moment it's very easy to be looking outwards, isn't it? Those people should do that. Those people should do that. They should definitely not be doing that near me. Or I don't care. People can do what they want, and if you feel so strongly about that you end up getting mad about it, again, this is the upset, the triggering. And I'm reminded of a course I did a long time ago, the Landmark Forum course, which has a kind of a real controversy around it anyway, but I got a lot of value from it. And they talk about there are only 3 upsets in life. And these 3 upsets at the moment are embodied within the whole sort of COVID phenomenon. And if I can remember them rightly, the first upset is an unfulfilled expectation. So we know what that's like to have one of our expectations not met. So that's obviously everywhere in the pandemic conversation. What? Go on. Oh, I don't think she's talking to me.
I'm back.
Oh, okay.
Are we still live? I'm back.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think we have problems with the connection today. I'm not even sure.
No, it's fine.
I decided to go for my outdoor office today. So let's see if we can go back.
Could definitely hear you. Oh, but I don't know if you can hear it. I was really getting into it there as well.
Not sure.
Another thesis for Jenni.
See comments? I'm not sure. Otherwise, you could.
We can see you. I'm going to put this in the comments so that Jenni can see this. This is the beauty. This is the beauty of Central Portugal. Also, the pitfall is the poor connection. You're back. Properly back this year.
We're back.
So we can, and that is a really good illustration of what I was just talking about. The 3 upsets in life. Okay, the unfulfilled expectation. My expectation is to be able to communicate and talk with you, and I couldn't for a moment there. So the potential upset. I chose not to go with it. Okay, the second, and these are in no particular order, but the second is a thwarted intention, i.e. wanting to do something. So here again, the example would be, I want to talk to you, but I can't, so I could get upset and mad about that. And the third is an unexpressed communication, wanting to be able to say something. And we all know what that's like in life. I think we learn that as children, don't we? Want to say something, but we don't know how to say it, can't say it, fear the consequences. And again, in this instance, I want to talk to you. And if I couldn't because of the technology, that would be another reason for me to get upset. So, a thwarted intention, unfulfilled expectation, and unexpressed communication. They're all there. I don't think there are any other upsets known to humanity. Test it if you like. But they are present and evident, and people are getting upset all the time because of those things within the pandemic effect. So that's the method by which we become upset, and then you're here to be the expert on what to do once you've got upset. What are the tactics? What are the techniques? If we accept as well that if we are getting triggered and upset, there's a little bit of something to work on inside, rather than just thinking, well, if 98% of the population get vaccinated, then I'll be calm again. because that's quite a high risk strategy, isn't it? To want it to be sorted out there is a very different matter from allowing it to be, well, not allowing it, but actually doing the work and having it sorted out inside here or inside here. So can we break that down a bit about what to do in the upset state so that you can take on board own your upset, own your problems?
Yeah. I mean, it's beautiful. Thank you for this. It's beautiful because these three things, I think, first, they count for everyone. I think everyone can identify with it. And second, I think it really touches some major problems we might all find ourselves in to a certain degree.
Yeah.
Starting about, and I'm proud of you that you didn't go upset.
Thank you. I just had a little chat with little Carlito inside and said, come on, Carl, this is not worth getting upset about, is it? What's the worst thing that can happen here?
Exactly. And that is always a good question. What is actually the worst thing that can happen? I mean, at the end of the day, the real worst case is you'd be dying, but sooner or later, it's going to be our time anyway. So you might as well enjoy it until then. So with these expectations, unspoken expectations, I think that is a really big point, but we can bring all of the three things together in one when I make you the following nice drawing with my really good drawing skills.
We have got audio-visual support this morning. Fantastic.
My assistant might bring me my pencil. I don't have one. So, well, I have a pencil, but no assistant.
Nice try.
Right. So what we're going to have is we'll have a cycle of these four circles. You can see that?
Yeah.
And it all starts at the top where there is a thought.
We're into workshop mode here. Very good. Yep.
A thought. And then from this thought, a thought itself doesn't make any harm, but from the thought, there comes judgment.
Oh, yes.
So there it goes. And from the judgment, there comes the feeling. There comes the emotion in the game.
Oh, here it comes. Here it comes.
And usually what happens from the feeling, there's a backlap. Everything is mirrored, so bear with me here.
It's all
so
mirroring.
From the feeling, it goes back to judgment, saying, let's say this with this technical issue we just had there. So I am today in my outside office, which I'm usually not, usually I'm at my neighbor's place. So I thought I'll give it a try. I have this little Wi-Fi dongle here, so it should work. And we'll see. In the worst case, I can just grab everything and run over in 2 minutes, and then I'll be back. So I thought, follow your heart, give it a try. You'd feel more comfortable here. So with this break we just had there in the connection with this problem, that was a problem in the connection. Definitely.
Yes.
But with the judgment, it could have gone like, that's probably because I have been using this other dongle, and then you'd feel guilty because you did so. And from the guilt, there would be the, and now I'm messing up all the show, judgment, and even more guilt. So, and from all this judgment and guilt, we then move over into the body response.
Oh, let's see.
Meaning in guilt or anything negative, you go smaller and smaller and smaller, and you just want to hide. You go like, but we're live now, so we can't hide, Carl. So, and from this body response, then your brain creates new thoughts. So I think we've been talking about this before, that we all get told in our education that basically it is our thoughts that create, our feelings that creates the thought. But it's not just that. It's not just our visual information that create the thoughts. It's also all of our sensory information. Meaning your complete body response. Meaning when you are already feeling guilty or bad or ashamed or not comfortable, you really don't want to be seen like this, then what happens is that your thoughts and this whole cycle we had here goes downwards in the downward spiral. So your next thought, coming from the example of, problem with the connection. Okay, probably me with my dongle. Okay, feeling guilty. Okay, messing up all the show, feeling more guilty. All the people come here just to see whatever we want to talk about, feeling even more guilty. And from this, then my brain could probably go down the route with, oh, yeah, I mean, actually, what are you thinking that you're doing here? Actually, what are you thinking that there's actually people wanting to listen to you and all this? This can go really, 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 really down, really deep and really destroying. And something that happens quite often, particularly with people who have a low self-esteem, with people who constantly make themselves responsible for whatever happens in the outside world. And it happens so often in a relationship, for example. Let's say Ms. M is in a mood and you just don't know what she's done in the last 4 hours, and you might think, oh my God, that is probably because she's asking me to do whatever in the garden for a week already and I haven't. Or it's probably because of that. I quickly might do it. And then you come back, you did it, and she's still in a mood, and you think, now, that's strange. I did my part. What's going on here?
Yes.
And you might feel a bit upset because you think it's got something to do with you. So this all builds up and it builds up and it builds up. And the whole thing could have been so easy if at the beginning you would have just said to her, oh, babe, I see you're not really well. Anything to do with me? Anything I can do for you? Or she initially would have said, don't worry, my Carl, everything's great. I'm just in a bit of a mood. It's got nothing to do with you or the family. Just give me a bit of time and we'll be happy out.
Yes.
So it's tiny little things, and it comes to these expectations as well of, you might have the expectation towards yourself that it is your duty as a dad to make sure that everybody is healthy and happy and has food on the table and these things. And maybe Mrs. M or any other mother or wife thinks, yeah, maybe my job as a wife is it to be always sexy, to have a clean, pretty household, to be always willing and lovingly there for my children. Yes, we have in our society the stereotypes we get transported for how something should be, meaning the expectations in you as a person when you identify with society is saying about it, they are high.
Yes.
And they are not to be fulfilled, and that makes yourself depressed from the beginning on.
Yes.
Because you can't fulfill it. And it feeds a core belief most of us carry around of not being good enough.
Yes.
And it's getting fed constantly by these things, constantly. So, but back to your question of what can we do in this cycle?
Yes. Good.
I'm not sure if I have to turn the camera. I think the sun is coming around. We'll see. You tell me if you can't see me anymore, huh?
No, I'm enjoying the cosmic unicorn rainbow effect on your screen. It's nothing less than we would expect.
See, I made this up. Good. So, we have thought. Oh wait, we have thought, judgment, feeling, and body response. So, what can we do? In any phase, actually, you see there's an arrow. So, in any phase, you got a chance to intervene and still turn it around. So the spiral goes into the opposite, into the positive. So I say that's basically the ABC of personal development. Awareness brings change. I made that up as well. Good, huh?
Very good.
So awareness brings change. I mean, at any point, if there's awareness there, you can stop the cycle.
Yes.
So if this is for advanced people already, catching yourself when you have the thought. Usually what happens is you catch yourself when you have the feeling.
Okay, advanced people. There's another cue for people who don't feel good enough to go, oh, I'm not very advanced. Oh.
You're not advanced yet. Sorry, man.
She doesn't mean that. She doesn't mean that.
No, I'm just kidding you. It's just sometimes in our dualistic world, it's hard to find appropriate descriptions of not being dualistic or not being judgmental and not, saying that one thing is better than the other. I'm just saying that people who are already more experienced in feeling inside and being mindful, for them they will be able to catch themselves already when they're thinking it, and
We
other
know.
people who might just start their path, they will only be able probably to notice it when they're already having the feeling, or even when the body response is already there. And
Yeah.
this goes really, really far, even to proper diseases or illnesses the body response can be. So
Wowzers. Okay.
little side note, my workshop last week was about that.
But it was last week. That's not very good advertising, unless, of course,
I can make another one.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. Not advanced time travel. Jenny's new course. Okay, sadly, I agree with you. And that's a really interesting way of putting it. That's not with you there. That is with Goulson, who said, I think our societies have lost the ability to communicate with each other. We can chat but not communicate. Well, okay, that's as a general rule. I think a lot of people might agree with that, with the way things are. But here we are this morning, chatting, communicating with each other. I put a high value on that. So, bring it is what I would say. So let's have a look at what people have been saying. Thank you, Jenny, so far, especially with your audio-visual aids there and everything, pen and paper. Amazing. So let's see. We've got lots of lovely comments. Jenny, bon dia, Jenny from Prosecco Peggy. Okay, we were there with the April brings rain, and of course Gary and Linda saying hi to you. Oh, very quickly, Denise, thank you. Yes, Joseph Marsh, our farmer for fun in Central Portugal. He is a mate, and I think we will have a tour of the farm with him at some point, get him live. And I've talked to him about that before, but absolutely. In the meantime, you're right, he does have a fantastic Instagram page, Farmer for Fun. He is a beautiful man with a wonderful, it's not really a project. I mean, it's his life and his livelihood in Central Portugal. So check him out for sure. And yes, of course, we will get him on the show at some point. Denise also saying that the New Zealand government has been taken to court on these matters as well, where there's been some success in Germany. A little bit of, with a lot of side notes. Monica here. Good morning from Tavira. How nice. We can hear the birds in the background. I feel a ramble coming on, says Gary. Me and Jenny have been rambling this morning. It's absolutely fine. You join in as well, Gary. Governments are working towards the Great Reset, says Jonesy, in a slightly apocalyptic input there. And there we go. But yeah, Peggy, thank you, Peggy. You were amazing last night. Isn't it amazing to be able to say to a lady, you were amazing last night? And I mean it, Prosecco Peggy. She was on our webinar last night comparing the cost of living Portugal and US, and we had a great time. Thank you to Maria as well, who joined us. And Donna and Jim, who are newly in Portugal. All those people outside there enjoying themselves. What do they want to do that for, lol? Yeah, I know. I can see the comedy in what I was trying to articulate there, Gary. Bon dia, Peggy from Pete. Good morning to you, Pete. A bit of chat across the comments there, which is always lovely. Bon dia, Carl and Jennifer from Andrew Gilchrist, who I know has other comments. Pete, excellent news for Pete. Muito bem, obrigado, Peggy. Completed on our farm yesterday. Great news, Pete. Well done. Must be a real relief and joy for you. If you ever administered a Facebook group, says Stephen, you will know the pressures of collective responsibility and decision making. That's a Facebook group, let alone a whole government. So, we made that point. We do recognize it's difficult when you're managing a whole nation and millions of people, without a doubt. Let's be honest, the vaccine is just a sticking plaster on the problem. We need to get ahead of that to deal with the bigger problem. Okay, Gary, very enigmatic. What bigger problem? Bon dia from Abu Muhammad. Good morning to you, Abu. I don't feel the stress in Portugal compared to the UK. Perhaps it's the environment or the sunshine. I'm sure those play a part, Andrew, and the kind of standing level of anxiety or energy or vibration, I suspect, as well. Jenny might make the similar comparison with Germany. I don't know. I use that one all the time with clients. I add wearing sparkly silver dealy boppers and purple slippers. This is with your pink elephant, Penny. Messing with people's minds. Bon dia todos from a sunny Hertfordshire. Morgan, Jenny. Hope all are well. Just stopped for a coffee and our morning constitution. How lovely. Good morning to you. Ian, who is also offering congratulations to Pete. And let's have a look. Yeah, lots of congrats for you, Pete and Diane. Carry on. what was that you were saying? The three thing. Okay, yeah, okay, Rafa.
I'm waiting, Rafa.
I put them in the comments. I put them in the comments. They're there, and I defy anyone to find a new upset that isn't embodied, contained within those three things. Barbara, hello from Poland. Good morning to you. Dzień dobry to you, Barbara. Upset is optional. Now, there's a wise man speaking, right? As much as it would seem it's not, and that we can justify our upset. Would you agree, Jenny? It is optional ultimately.
100%.
100%. Gary, if all you seek in life is agreement, talk to yourself. And that's
not sure if you get the agreement there, though.
Right. That's not always a dead cert, is it? Talking of upsets, lost loves. Oh, this is Ian's three upset combo. Lost love, lost job, lost future, and would and have upset me. Thank you for that, Ian. And that's a nice bit of authentic sharing. We love that. And here they are. Yeah, the unfulfilled expectation, the unexpressed communication, and the thwarted intention. Thwarted is an excellent word, isn't it? Quite old-fashioned. Pete, children dying unnecessarily, as with the MMR misinformation a decade ago in the UK, or as you see in Brazil now, are the worst things that can happen. Okay, Pete, we were talking about what's the worst thing that can happen if Jenny and I couldn't speak to each other technologically. But I get your drift. Or if you cut your leg off with a chain, that's pretty bad. Yeah, we would agree with that. Pete also saying, would you see a doctor, a psychologist, or a hypnotherapist? This is like a sort of moral maze, isn't it? Depends what for.
See me, you got the whole combination.
Okay, there you go. But it would have to be what for. I mean, doctors are terrible at some things. Having known a few, the doc included. I think I know him well enough to say that. I mean, really. And psychologists, I mean, they're a funny bunch, present company included. And don't even begin with hypnotherapists. Andrew Gilchrist, I check and compare my personal situation to Abraham Maslow. Not literally, I suspect. Oh, the five hierarchical human needs. Okay, Wi-Fi is now at the top. This is a good yardstick for how I am fulfilled. If you're ever unhappy, check the situation against it. So that's the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. A classic in personal development for sure. Joel's here, who I'm sure will have other contributions, as well as his bon dia to us from Matosinhos. And thank you for the video introducing me, giving me a bit of background on your wonderful town up there beyond Porto. Nip the cycle in the bud if possible. Past a certain point, it can be hard to turn around. So yes, we had Jenny's cycle of thought, judgment, feeling, and bodily response. Would you agree there that the sooner you can intervene, not only the better that is, but then the better you become at intervening as well? Practice makes perfect, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's. May I continue with the ABC, because that's where we were.
Yeah, go on.
We still don't know how to break the cycle. That's the important thing now.
It's a cliffhanger. We're building the tension towards the big reveal now.
You'll find out more after the commercials.
Yes, that's it, everybody. We're going now. If you could join us next week or after the break. A word from our sponsor.
Some silicone here.
Jenny, why have you got a tube of silicone right next to you?
I'm waiting for the mechanic to fix my step.
Good answer. Okay. So how do we break this cycle? Come on, the tension is unbearable.
So
I can feel it in my body.
I'm so excited. So awareness brings the change. So awareness is also what breaks the cycle.
Yeah.
So on whichever point you realize you feel uncomfortable, and this is either just because of the feeling or either because you're already feeling tensed or whatever, but you can notice something's not quite right. And at that point, whenever that is, whether it is in the argument with the person itself, whether it is when you're alone on your own and already having headache or whatever, ask yourself or bring yourself into the observer position. So try to get out of yourself and watch yourself from as if you are a third person. And look at yourself, and then this allows you to get out of the emotion and to get a bit of a more neutral and objective look at things. Or you can also ask yourself, if you would think in your head, and this would express the feeling you're having at the moment, let's say, oh, I'm feeling sad, or I'm feeling not taken serious, or I'm feeling neglected, or whatever. Ask yourself, who is this I that is speaking? Who is the I that feels neglected? Who is the I that feels sad? Because there is some part of you and some part of your personality that might have had an uncomfortable experience really similar to this, and then you draw the conclusion, and this is what your brain does, that in this whole cycle, what happens as well is that, so from your body response, the information your autonomic nervous system gives to your brain in order to create new thoughts, what happens there is that sometimes these information, they stay in the autonomic nervous system as essential information. We've been talking about this when we were talking about when you are in a sympathetic neural state and you are in a threatful situation and you feel terrified and afraid. You have the three options of fight, flight, and freeze, or ask for help. But let's stay with the three for now. And then what happens is that your body, your brain, both of them, they do remember this situation very well. Your body does have a physical memory, a sensory memory, and your brain does bring all these information together. So what can happen is later on, if you having, let's say, when you were 3 years old, you were with your family in a nice on a nice beach trip, and you've been playing in the sand there with all your sandy molds, blah blah blah, and all of a sudden there was a wave, whoop, and it knocked you properly out, and it took about, I don't know, a couple of seconds. Yeah, exactly. It took about a couple of seconds until the water brought you back to the shore, and you were back to, okay, where am I? What's going on? But of course, you were already panicking. Your little mummy's gone, a brute nature force is kicking you off, and you don't know what's happening, where you're going, whatever. So there is a trauma response in your body saying, okay, something's going on, we got to get out of here. Of course, mommy will come and will save you and will comfort you and everything will be perfect, but the information is still in your body. So what can happen is later on, when you're 16, 18, whatever, you think, yeah, my friends and me, we're going to go to a nice surfing trip now. Let's hit the beach. And you will be there. And you might even not even notice, with the whole preparation and stuff. But all of a sudden, you might find yourself on the surfboard in the middle of the ocean, absolutely panicking, because your body gets the same information. It's salty air, it's salty water. You got this soft wind with a bit of a tickle on your skin, and all these things. It's the same sensory information your body gets, and then.
There we go.
From this information, it goes into your brain again and goes digging. Okay, where we know this information, where does that belong to? And then you get out of your box this memory and you start, okay, that was the memory. I wasn't really feeling well, the thought about it, then memory, and then, no, I gotta get out of here. So, you see what happens there. But if then, in any of those situations, you actually break the cycle and say, let's say you're already in the shit. So you're already out in the ocean, you're already sitting on the board, you're already pretending to be badass, and you're waiting for the wave. But then panic hits in, exactly, and you go like, but then there's 20 really cool chicks around you, and you don't want to be in a, so you're like, okay, gotta man up, now I gotta put my big pants on. So what can you do in order to do that in a healthy way and not just even worsen the trauma by just suppressing it? So what you can do is, in this situation, try to bring yourself onto the surfboard or somebody else or just outside of yourself and look at you from the top. And then you will see, okay, you are on a surfboard. You are in the middle of the ocean, but actually it's only 50 meters to the shore. There's about 30 people around you. It's actually just baby waves. And so the chances that really you get drawn here or you get taken by the big force, ocean or whatever, they are, let's face it, really low. So now you got the choice. Do you want this panic to get you overwhelmed? That's okay, then leave. Get out of the water. Or will you see the objectivity in this going into observer mode, start smirking actually about what you just did there, nearly, and change the judgment then into it's actually not threatful, it's actually cool, and there's not much that can happen to me. Then your feeling will go from panicking into maybe curious, exactly, or cool, or laid back, or happily expecting, or something like that. And then your body response will be more open and more strong, and you'll get more trust that at the end of the day, it can actually be a great experience.
And this is almost, I mean, it probably is the basis of cognitive behavioral therapy, right? This is taking a look at yourself, understanding what's going on, and modifying it. And I have to say, I mean, it is beautiful, the design of the human being from wherever it came. Whether you're, it's scientific, spiritual, whatever you feel the origins of humankind in the universe. Isn't it wonderful that we have this mechanism that endeavors to save us and preserve life? And that's why you have these responses, isn't it? But then when they start running your life later on in life, that's when we need to have a look at them, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that is beautifully summarized, because that's exactly what it is. We all have them, and it's perfectly normal. But I mean, according to Neil Donald Walsh, we've been scratching it already, Dialogues with God, you have this only two modi where people can live and act in. It's either love and fear.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, and the worldwide situation we have had currently with the whole corona stuff is, for me, a perfect example that unfortunately 98% of us are living in fear and not in love. Because if you're in love, you're in trust, and you know exactly everything happens for you, so there's no need to worry. And even if you would catch a deadly disease or whatever, then it would happen for you, and it would give you the chance to overthink what might brought you there. And I know it is a fine line when people listen to me about feeling accused and offended and understanding what I'm actually trying to say. But this is where we are again in the thought judgment. So I'm not blaming anyone for anything. I was there. We all were there. But then it's a question of exactly what you say. Are you deciding, again, we got the choice, are you deciding that you want to stay remote controlled by your fears, limiting your life? Or you say, okay, I don't know what's going to happen, but I at least try to tell them, look, I know you're there to protect me, and I'm calling you when I need you, but for now, let me check this out. Okay, so let's go to some comments. That's fantastic. Wash hands. Thank you, Barbara. Tony Robbins talks about pattern interrupts. It's a great story about Tony Robbins. This is the technology he works with, isn't it? The mental technology. And I remember him telling this story of a client coming to see him for some life coaching or whatever. Sits down in the chair in Tony Robbins' office and is like, oh, my life is a mess. It's terrible. I can't believe it. This happened, that happened. And Tony Robbins, in his own special way, says, our session hasn't even started yet. And this person who's crying goes, oh, sorry. Okay, sorry about that. And is able to change state in an instant after being barked at by Tony Robbins. And it became a seminal moment for Tony Robbins. That a lot of this is, getting into the story mode, isn't it? Oh, my life is terrible. And then with that, we haven't even started yet. This person was immediately able to just change state in an instant and say, okay, well, tell me when to start crying. Okay. Bon dia, alegria, todos, from Johnny. Maybe we need more humor and taking ourselves not so serious. Yes, we are desperate for approval. The fear of rejection prevents us from doing what we want. By trying to please everyone, we end up pleasing no one, ourselves included. A pearl of wisdom from Belgium this morning. Thank you. It's sometimes hard, says Penny, to help people understand that their physical ailments are actually as a result of their emotions.
and underlying anxiety. A controversial point. And now what I would say as a little bit of a side note here, and I think referring to what you were articulating as well just now, Jenny, is if this statement does, this is just a statement, this is somebody saying something, if this pushes your buttons big time, therein lies the chance to have a look. Exactly what we're talking about this morning, okay? Because it might not be true. It might be true, it might not be true, it might be useful, it might not be useful. But the point here this morning is if this makes you very emotional, hearing that from Penny, then there might, and from Jenny, there might be something to look at. So, you know, as the great Usher once said, eat it or throw it away. You know, it's up to you what you do with this information. But it's possibly a gift. I mean, it's a gift in two ways. If it's a gift like, wow, that could be true. I'm going to look at my life in a totally different way. That's a gift. But also like, I can't believe what's going on here this morning. This is supposed to be a program about moving to Portugal. Why are we doing therapy? Why are people talking about this, that, and the other? I hate this. It's like, okay, well, what's going on there with that? Because you could turn off, you could check your state. There are all sorts of responses. But if you're punching the screen right now, then there might be something to look at. We should be taught emotional literacy in school, says Michelle there. Breaking the cycle, move to a new country and start a renovation project with no previous experience. That's a good one. That could be a distraction though, Louise and Paul there. But yes, I think actually, to be fair, a new environment does give you new access, doesn't it? And if you're shaking things up, you can give yourself a context for transformation for sure. Bon dia, Jenny. The workshop last Saturday was so helpful. There you go. You are the best, from Susan. Check it out. The fan club's here. Beverly, did you see that? Let's do that again. Can we do that this is like a soccer game. So we're going to do this on slow motion now with a replay of Jenny receiving feedback. So what you'll notice here is Jenny doesn't go, oh, I don't know, I did my best, it was kind of okay. But we'll see the slow motion replay now. Jenny, it was so helpful. You're the best. Here we go. Do you want to do your thing again? She's taking it. She's taking boo. There's somebody who can accept a compliment. I love Jennifer. She makes me rethink actions of mine and others and brings joy, says Beverly Maidment. Denise, the media sparks fear, so switch it off. And it's amazing how normal life is. Yes, you kind of own life in your environment and out your window. Yes, who knew? Penny, that is a bit of a sweeping statement. People do have actual physical ailments. No question. People have actual physical ailments there, Valerie. Hello, everyone. And a special hello to Susan Renshaw that introduced me to this group. Mary Jo Deakin, yes, you might have got the wrong idea. You joined our wine club last night, didn't you? Please don't think that any moment in time when you're watching these live streams are representative of the whole thing. It's a diverse experience for sure, as people are discovering this morning. Absolutely agree that the vaccine is a sticking plaster which will have to be constantly adapted as the virus mutates. Far better to spend money on helping people get healthier, build their immune systems and improve underlying conditions, and research treatments like ivermectin. I choose not to have a vaccination, says Penny. Possibly. Let's check inside. Has anyone says anything this morning? Ooh, has that activated me? Has that got my emotional mojo moving? Because that's the thing. That's the important information, I think, is what it's doing to your emotional mojo. I'm a psychologist and a hypnotherapist. More bang for the buck, says Penny. Maslow's hierarchy of needs is why I'm a socialist. So many in this world struggling to fulfill their needs, even at the bottom. Indeed, the old trickle down there. It doesn't work with that. Does it work with that pyramid, the trickle down? Doreen, my go-to phrase is when I catch my thoughts down spiraling, so what? Who cares? It doesn't matter. Let it be. First world problems. That's not a bad little checklist, is it? Good morning, Dale. Hello, mate. I hope you're well. It helps to do inner child work. That way you can also break triggering of where the pain of origin rooted. Yes, awareness, ABC. Cheers, Rafa. That works well. Yes, moving abroad and starting a project. It actually can also, it brings up all sorts of stuff, doesn't it? If you are standing on your ruin in central Portugal and you spent all your money on timber and it's raining in April and you have a transformational moment possibly as you stand there thinking, why? That's right. It can clear the decks for a transformational experience. Breathing Breathing always helps, Jim, but I see what you're saying here. Breathing can help access the observer. Yeah. And yes, we haven't mentioned that this morning, but it is the precursor, really, isn't it, to opening up the awareness is getting into the breath. Great, Doreen. Also, sometimes in 100 years, it won't matter. No, Jim. Everything I do must matter in 100 years. I don't do this every morning just to fade into anonymity, you know. My ego needs a lot more than a put down like that, I can tell you, Jim. But point made well and taken well here. I did a meditation course all about breathing from Andrew. It was definitely interesting, and the techniques were to control breathing. The emojis demonstrate what we've been through over the years. Let's go back to that. This is the roller coaster ride of getting a renovation property. Yay! Oh, then eventually the cool sunglasses emoji. Brilliant. Thank you for that. Where are we now? Been there several times. That will be us hopefully soon, says Jim. Is that breathing and working on your renovation project? That's very true, Doreen, says Mark Cockerton. So many of our troubles are indeed first world problems. We all get stressed about things that actually don't matter much at all. It's just that our expectations are too high. But then that can be turned into a put down, can't it? If you start shaming yourself, you can't help that you were born in the first world. And if you start giving yourself a hard time because there are lots of other people suffering in the world, I don't think that's especially healthy either, is it?
But it's about, and I know exactly what Mark is talking about, because in our family, my sister and me, we grow up really different. We got about 10 years of a difference in between, and Portugal is therapy. Yes, Jim, it is. That's why we are all here, full of
healthy people.
Full of wholly healthy people.
Yes.
Anyways, so it's really interesting to see. And for a really long time, I was asking me, how does this develop? How does it develop that for some people it's clearly first world problems, and for some people they still won't see it and really have this high expectations of, but I need this car to be happy.
Oh, yeah.
So of course I clearly see the priming in our society, and that you from a child on, you get told, oh, you need this to be happy, you need this to be pretty, and if you don't have this, you're not successful, and blah blah blah. Yeah. And talking about this is all products and not really things on my personality. It's products and items. So that's that one thing. And of course, we probably all had the time in our youth where you had to have a certain brand jacket in order to be super cool, because the other kids would tell you you're just not when you don't have it. So we go through all these phases, and some of us might have had a great life, 9-to-5 job, all the money, all the stuff in the world that you could have possibly imagined to have, but noticing that you're still not happy with it. So how come? I think we are bred and born and raised in this materialistic focused world, where I think now we are noticing that none of these materials can actually bring us the sake of peace or happiness or love or whatever. So, and then I thought, okay, people probably need to have less in order to see and appreciate what they have, and that actually most of it is first world problems. So you think, okay, they eat shit and they don't have much, they really might be down, living in a ruin, no roof on the head, piss and rain, nothing there, and then they might see, yeah, okay, now I know what is actually important.
Yes.
And this is why it really caused a big debate in my head and in my heart at the same time, because I was clearly seeing COVID and the whole aftermath of it as the chance for us as humankind to fall back onto what's really important, onto it is important for me as a part of this society that I know when I need help, I can call you, Carl. And even if you can't come, you give whatever you can give in this moment in order to help me. And the same the other way around. So I think so many of us in this fear are feeling really alone in this world. That you are the lonely fighter, that you are the last end of the chain, and you are the one, who has to stand up for it. And this is so sad because we're all in the same boat, and it could be so much not easier, but more genuine and more loving if we do it together. Like we have been doing for so many times already now, openly speaking about what is concerning you. And even if this might be part of the cycle and you are a bit stuck in your head with that, I mean, that's all normal. That is all human. And of course, it's important to feel sad. It's important to feel threatened and all these things. It is important to feel this in order to be able to feel the other. Life is this full spectrum. But if we would rather help and support each other instead of judging and talking down, because what I do is, Paul, Carl, if I don't take you serious, I don't take myself serious.
Yes, well said.
If I don't give you the according respect of your feelings at that time, I don't give it to myself either.
Yes.
So, is that how you want to run around through the world? I don't think so. You want to be heard when there's something wrong. And I know that a big one in our societies, and we've had this with the three facts they would lead to being upset, is that unspoken expectations or I don't know exactly how unfulfilled expectations was it phrased?
Right. Yeah.
Coming back to the point that first knowing your needs, knowing what you want, what is your expectation, and then expressing it.
Oh yes.
I've had a really, really good chat the other day with a friend, and it was about so he is unhappy in a friendship. Let's put it this way. He's unhappy in a friendship, and then he keeps on telling me the same shit all over. And I was like, okay, you really got my limit there. Yeah. I've been listening to it. I've been giving you advices. I told you what you can do, blah, blah, blah. So we've been talking all through it. But the thing is, you're just a donkey and you don't want to listen to it and you want to keep on doing, then go for it. Don't do it. I don't care. You can do it. But then just don't annoy me with it.
Yes.
And then he was like, yeah, and then I'm just going. And I'm like, okay, so do you think leaving the situation generally, without talking about it beforehand, do you think the smartest thing to do? And then he was like, yeah, but I want to punish him. And I'm like, and do you really think you're punishing him when you leave? So who are you punishing with when you leave your home and your comfortable place in order to punish somebody for something he's not even aware of because it's all happening in your head?
That'll teach
and
him.
Then he was like, and that was that. Now this is for me the most showing bit. Then he said, well, we've had this for 3 years now. He should have known it by now. And I was like, have you expressed it only once in these 3 years towards it? No. And I said, right, this is the same as if, and this happens often as well, I go into a relationship, you start dating, you start seeing, the whole lot. And then, I don't know, you live together, and every Sunday you get fresh bread rolls because you really like to have fresh bread rolls on a Sunday. And you keep on doing that. And then a year later, you keep complaining towards your best friend that your hobby is never ever bringing you fresh bread rolls on a Sunday, even though he should know, because the first half a year of your relationship, you brought them every Sunday because you'd like to have them, but you never expressed this way. You just thought that by your behavior, he must have seen and understood that this is what you need. So then you expect him to do that for you. And then you're pissed off if he doesn't. And this is the story every Monday then when you meet your girlfriend saying, you know what?
He
And
did
again.
it. Yes.
And again.
Can you believe that guy?
Can you believe it? He hasn't done it again. Can you believe it? So,
Idiot.
but I think by this example, it's getting really clear how important it is in each and every part of our lives, and mostly towards ourselves. And this main and most important relationship you have with yourself in your life is the one with yourself. So make sure you're okay with yourself.
Bring yourself bread rolls. Bring yourself bread rolls, metaphorically. Understand why. Yeah, chat with yourself. Beautiful, Jenny. This might help in this particular question. Asking a woman what the problem is. Good luck with that, Carl. When you get to that point, please let me know how. But yeah, it's all about. I think I know what's going on here. It's like, what's the problem, love? And actually, it's not a matter of naming a problem, is it? That you can then fix, gentlemen. It might be a matter of cup of tea, sit down. And not that I'm good at this, and I fall into this trap all the time with this kind of, what are they called, love languages, or how genders and how different people communicate differently. It's getting to understand, isn't it, your partners or the important people in your life, their preferred mode of communication. And I've had this mainly with women, I have to say, including my daughters. But because I think it's a bit easier with blokes, because we tend to use the same sort of approaches. But yeah, you've got to find out, haven't you? You've got to do the work to find out what works for people, and vice versa. Okay, so let's we should conclude. Most therapeutic hours are only 50 minutes. You've had a lot of value this morning, so we'll conclude, and I think we'll probably finish with a little bit more homework or a belly rubbing exercise or something like that makes me look really suspect on screen. So let's see what the final comments are. Oh, Debbie Dews. Hi, Jenny and Carl. Sorry I joined late. No problem. It's all available on Catch Up, because there was some cracking material this morning, Debbie, that I think you'd appreciate. The controlled breathing with awareness can support calming our systems so we can access higher level thinking as well. So not just first aid for difficult and awkward situations, but actually taking us into superhuman states as well, possibly. Here we go. This is an old-fashioned way of putting it, really. I hope you don't mind me saying this, Debbie Dews. But, the sort of thing your grandmother might say. And she was right. Try not to make mountains out of molehills. There you go. Mentally. Ian Turner, I've noticed with relatives as they age that they started to worry about completely inconsequential things. It's almost as if we need stuff to worry about. That is the mechanism of the human mind, isn't it? And, again, you can't just say to old folks, can you, don't worry about that. It's ridiculous you worrying about all these things. That's not going to help, is it? It's like, you've got to have the chat, haven't you? Why? What's going on with you here? Why are you worrying about that? What's really going on? If you can have an intelligent conversation rather than just a put down or a plaster or whatever it is on that. You said it. Higher level of cognition is the goal. At Jim White there. To Ian from Jim, I think we're predisposed to worry. Default mode, as you say, we can lose control. Yeah, it goes back to how the brain works to protect us, doesn't it? And you have to get that in balance and measure. I mean, worries are there to protect us, but if you do it, if that's all you do, that's going to be a pretty miserable life. Jenny, you look like you want to say something there.
Yeah, I agree with that fully, but I think a big part on that is also how we get trained in our society, in school and all that. Because you get taught to look out for the one wrong thing in 100 right ones.
Yes, indeed.
This is how you train your negative thinking highway much more than you train your positive thinking highway, your solution orientated highway. And this is why I think we're drawn, besides the fact that our brain of course wants survival, but it still wants survival even though it finds a problem, it finds a solution in the problem.
Yes.
It's still survival mode, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it's really our priming and our growing up. And even if you just think about the news, do you ever hear anything positive in the news?
No. Well, you do. I mean, you do, but it's there as a counterpoint to prove how terrible the world is, don't you?
Yes.
The fact that a cat got rescued from a tree is only there to help you feel a little bit better about all the other horrible things they've told you about in the last half hour.
Yeah. And there are so many good things in the world, and we could as well make the news complete differently, and talk about all the good things and then just have a little side note. Oh, but by the way, I don't know, Trump's president. So something like that, this could also be like this, but we choose not to. And from a societal point of view or from a governmental point of view, and and people who would rather consider themselves as conspiracy theorists or something in that extreme, they would probably go down the route and say, yeah, this is all planned. This is all planned. This is for us to be better controlled because we live in fear and blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, I don't know how much the people who are actually in the responsibility also live in the same fear like we do.
Well said. Well said. Absolutely. And I'd go as far as to say that all thinking eventually leads to worry and negativity, because it's a downward path. It's not. I think that's one of the, like the law of thermonuclear physics or whatever it's called. So thermodynamics. The law of the thinking mind is always downward to find problems. So if you indulge it and you keep doing it, you will end up upset and depressed. I think it's to be used strategically, isn't it? It's like it is a problem-solving tool, but if you don't use it as a problem-solving tool, it will just keep bringing you problems. So anyway, that's opening another can of worms, possibly. Just a note about stress. We only have a finite capacity to cope, and the stress can be physical as well as mental. So reducing mental stress increases capacity for physical work, e.g. training. Well said, Ian. Therapy is good for everyone. Thank you for that affirmation there, Andrew. Portugal is therapy, says Jim White. Absolutely. We should tell the government, shouldn't we, that actually, migrating to Portugal is actually very good for personal development. That's another angle. Portugal and Fatima is therapy. Well said, Barbara. Yep, absolutely. Andrew Gilchrist, if you're standing on your ruins in Allentation in April and it rains on your timbers, this would be a very zen moment. Send a picture. Send a picture, Andrew. Yes, there's a meme to be made out of that. Lots of comments. Let's go through these. Can recommend The Chimp Paradox by Prof. Steve Peters. Helps to understand and cope with your inner child. Excellent. Smashing old slates. Already broken roof tiles. No wastage here. It's very cathartic. Gives you exercise and you have something to show for it at the end. Rubble for infill. Very good. Construction therapy. Lol. Peter to Tacht. Jenny was my classmate 25 years ago. Crazy to see her after such a long time. Lol there. Guten Morgen, Peter.
Do you know what, Carl? I think it was a couple of days ago. Good morning. It was so funny. A couple of days ago, I got a message of an old classmate saying, so Jen, you got your current WhatsApp number? I'm planning like a class meeting 20 years. And I'm like, oh my God, really? Are we that old? So cool that somebody's there from my old class. Good morning.
Good morning, Peter. Hasn't she changed? How do billionaires cope when they've done and had everything? Guess the only thing, space travel. That's a good point, Debbie Doos. Or world domination. Jenny's right. Stuff doesn't matter once you have shelter, food, and family. COVID has highlighted that for many. The Maoris say, says Jim White, we are our own best medicine. It's true, isn't it? If you can take it after meals in 5mm doses, 5 milliliters. Super Jim, says Barbara. At Pete from Paul and Louise, interested to know if the farm is a renovation project or a move-in and do-up. So that conversation will continue, I'm sure. You're right, Valerie, in that physical ailments are absolutely real, but their causes can often be psychological and emotional. Not always, obviously, so some clarification there, thank you. The mind and body are so linked, absolutely. And yes, this beautifully describes the situation you were talking about with the friend and the friend, like taking poison and hoping for the other to die. We do it. All guilty, I'm sure, at some stage in our life. I say first world problems, not to undermine my or other problems, but to put things into perspective, and it usually helps. Absolutely, Doreen. Yeah, I was just saying, I just didn't want it to become a kind of a self-attack, I'm so first world and being guilty about that. You can't help who you are, where you're born, etc. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. Your ladies like to be listened to. Thank you, Penny, for that. That's to me and Gary. Relationships are so... Man cave tonight, by the way. Earlier time of 9:15. We'll carry on that conversation. Relationships are so complicated. If we don't speak out and allow the other person to properly say how they feel, even if it is hurtful to hear what we don't want to hear, then we cannot sort out the rubbish and move on. You're absolutely right, Beverly. It's the old tap analogy, isn't it? Or a hose pipe. When you turn on the hose pipe, all that dirty and warm water comes out before the beautiful, refreshing and vital stuff can come out. And that's what we can do by communication. And the thing is not to get activated again, isn't it? This is what this other person's saying. I don't have to take it personally, but I can be here for them and witness them telling me what a terrible person I am. But I don't have to take it personally. And sends a hug, Jenny. So virtual hugs flying around the room, the virtual room here. Nature or nurture or both, says Jim. Got to be a bit of both, isn't it? Hi from the Middle East. I love this lady. We all do. We all do. Form an orderly queue, Wendy, honestly. No, nothing about... no, we'll have a circle, not a line. We think in circles, not lines here. No, we'll surround Jenny with a big hug. No, nothing about building natural immunity in the news. Absolutely right, Project Frugal. It's not a place the media tends to go. Rick Hansen talks about being hardwired for the negative. 7-1, my goodness. Those are difficult odds to work against, aren't they, for any human being? It's all about finding yourself. I found myself in the cupboard under the sink. I knew I'd put myself somewhere. What a moment that must have been, Gary.
There I am.
There he is. I mean, the image of a man working hard under a kitchen sink does lend itself to other scenarios, I have to say. Dory, it seems too many react and emote viscerally versus employing critical thinking, especially on social media. Yeah, it's a habit we can get into for sure. Such a great show. Thank you all. Cheers, Jim. I have to go, says Barbara. Later's in the man cave. I think we're exhausting them with the therapy this morning. Later's in the man cave. See you there, mate. Fab show again, Carl and Jenny. Hugs. They are the audience themselves are bringing us to a close here. Hi from Cape Town, relocating to Carvero in early May. Loving this chat. Great to have you here, Terry. You're very welcome. So, final thought from you, Jenny, or final homework or whatever. You know, this is your slot. What should we do?
Yeah, I mean, I thought about. Let me just turn this off, otherwise it's beeping here all along. Okay.
Dongle bleeps.
Right, there I am. Am I still in there? Right, so I thought for all of us, I'm not sure if we've done this already, I don't think we have. Thinking about sometimes we've all been there when something is really triggering you and you're in high arousal and you just don't know what to do. You can't bite the chair, you don't want to bite your hand, you don't want to hit anybody. Oh yeah, woman cave, Denise, absolutely. You hit a point there. I know exactly what you mean. We got to do a woman cave.
You do.
And then we got to do the spiritual women against the drunken dudes.
That's a horrible characterization. That is horrible. It's not we can explain. It's not as it seems.
I haven't watched it once, so I can't really say anything about your man cave.
Well, you heard the rumors, yeah.
Good. So, what we can do, not just for the world, because not just for us, but also for the world. You know, we've been saying, so what we are quite aware of is what we not want. Then what a lot of people share is the want to change the world. But where does it start? Surprise, surprise, surprise. So what we can all do, whether you are in a situation where you are a bit angry, or even just every now and between to practice, is this little one. So you take your hand, you start with the index finger on the thumb, saying peace.
Peace.
Next finger starts. Within. Me.
I'm feeling it already.
See? And then you can keep doing this. It's either starts or begins, whatever, but you can start at the front again and saying peace begins with me. Peace.
I did it backwards. To exercise my aging brain. That's a good little Sudoku type thing.
Do you know that one here?
No, that's advanced, isn't it? No, I'm gonna start with that first.
Peace begins with me. Peace begins.
Come on, don't just watch us doing this, guys. You've got to do this. Just at least give us one of these, okay? Peace begins with me, and give us a little thumbs up in the comments to show that you've done it. Come on, no voyeurs here. This isn't spiritual dogging, watching other people being spiritual. You actually get involved here. Both hands.
Make sense out of it. Do you know what I like to? Yeah, exactly. Nice one, Carl. I like to do it as well when I'm walking. Yeah. Because when you're walking, what Jim was saying with the breathing, and you as well, this is so right. And a nice way to align your whole body again, or bring you like back together in one piece, is connecting your breath with your movement. And even with this, I've got a cramp. You need more greens, Gary. Magnesium is the center molecule of chlorophyll. More greens. So you can do that. That piece begins with me. And when you're walking, it's a nice way to always do 4 steps inhaling, 4 steps exhaling. And with that, you can even bring this together. Start easily and slowly. That's a thumb up. Start easily and slowly, maybe just with walking, and then, sorry, now I got a bench standing here. Yeah, I want to get up, but there was a bench and a table.
Easy.
Anyway, so when you walk, I'm going to make myself tiny now. When you walk, you go like, and then, so you can do it in a wave. I know that was funny, but I don't know how to show it now. Come on, bear with me.
We get the picture. That's brilliant. And also, that becomes an anchor as well, doesn't it? So when you start doing it, your body will pick up the cue, won't it? Yes. Oh, we're being peaceful now. Yeah. Yes, indeed. Wow. Okay, and I think Prince Charles does this. I've watched him, and he's got this way of putting his hands together when he meets people, and is it called a gestalt or something like that? But you'll see, and obviously with him in the public eye this weekend, you'll see, and I've often noticed with him, and we can employ it for ourselves. So anchoring, I think it's called, isn't it? Anchoring good feeling with bodily gestures. So ultimately, when you do the bodily gesture, your body takes the cue to be peaceful and still. Absolutely beautiful. Thank you, Jenny. Let's go to the last few comments then. Amazing. That's a great comment, actually, Michelle. The body keeps the score. So true. Are the man cave snags? I would like to think so. We're sensitive new age guys who drink beer. Doreen Ray's hard to lose yourself because wherever you go, there you are. Another fantastic. Is that an aphorism, but motto, whatever? That is brilliant though, Doreen. That other one requires coordination. Yeah, that's the advanced course. When you do a weekend with Jenny, she'll teach you that. Shaking arms is a great way to lose anger, but not in do social distancing with that one, because you might end up twatting somebody inadvertently and causing quite a lot of therapeutic intervention, is how I'll say it. Wash hands. I think that's Jim showing his acknowledgement of doing the little process with us there. I'm in, Jennifer, but please not a cave. Don't like to communicate. You see, these women talk a good talk about having their own woman cave, but weeks and months go by, they still haven't done it. That's why you probably need a fella to fix it for you. I'm just saying. I've got crab. Says Gary. Do that all the time, says Debbie. Cheers, Mark. Showing acknowledgement there of the technique. Time tea and tea time. It is lovely, says Monique. Hello, Monique. Penny, thumbs up from Penny. Love Jen. She's a hoot, says Ree. Morning, Ree. Anchors are just positive triggers. Absolutely. Thank you, Stephen. Carl, me and Jenny should do a woman's cave. I can't be in there. Bugger off. You can. Bugger off, Carl. That was my little jibe there that didn't go down terribly well in Devon. But come on, ladies, show us. There's all this talk about the she sheds or whatever. It's not happening. Not a woman cave, a she shed, says Annie. And me and Jen. Yes, okay, that's probably more like it. We'll watch as women watch the man cave, but it's your thing on screen, absolutely. I will start it if you tell me how, says Denise. Okay, we're a step closer. Jenny, thank you so much. It's been wonderful to have you here again. You're here. Remind us, is it the first and third? The second and fourth? It's 2 times a month. First and third, she's here. And it's been lovely this morning. Thank you so much. Wherever you are on your healing journey, I hope you found something of use this morning. I'm sure you will have. Jenny, bom fim de semana. Ciao, ciao.
Bom fim de semana. Obrigada a todos. Boa saúde. A próxima.